is an Unspoiled Network podcast.
This is Unspoiled, covering Penny Dreadful, Season 3, Episode 1, The Day Tennyson Died. In this episode, Mr. Lyle is my favorite forever and ever. And everybody on that train died except the witch girl? Is that true? Welcome to Unspoiled.
The witch girl and Ethan and the guys who killed everybody.
Right, but they shot everybody except Ethan, but they just let her off.
Yeah.
That feels a little silly. Yeah. I'm just saying. I mean,
but please, sir, you wouldn't harm an innocent, helpless female.
And I guess they kind of no, I don't want to say justify it, but they kind of excuse it by having him get distracted.
Yeah.
Like he pauses and then somebody else comes in. And so that seems to pull his attention, and then they just forget to shoot her, I guess. Mm-hmm. But that was really the only part of this episode that I had a problem with, because other than that, this was a really good one. And I really thought that Renfield was going to be Jack the Ripper. Like, he goes after that prostitute. Yeah. And he's like, rough with her and just has this look on his face while he's looking for her. Like he's up to no good, but like in a real serious up to no good way. Not in the just like, oh, I'm about to fuck. Mm-hmm. And I really thought that it was going to get super violent. And I was like, I don't want to see this. Come on. And nope, that's not what happened. And I was so happy and relieved.
Yeah.
Well, Jack the Ripper wasn't a fictional character, but that would have been cool.
It's one of those things that I'm so, done with hearing about fucking Jack the Ripper. Like, I lived in London for a little while, so there were all these, tourist trappy things about him. Mm-hmm. And there have been... he's gotten a lot of attention, and, it's gross. I'm, done with the fucking...
show about him.
You see what I'm saying? He killed a lot of prostitutes. Super.
No, I don't know why. Neat. Why did they have to pick a hot dude?
He is really good looking.
He is, and I know I've seen him in shit, and I can't put my fucking finger on it. He kind of looks like an adult version of that one of the gay kids in goddamn Glee. You know what I'm talking about? The not twink one.
Oh yeah, the hot one.
Yeah, the hot one.
I've only watched
the
first.
Chris. Like a grown-up version of that, and that's fucking with me, a lot.
Darren
Chris. Yeah, I actually used to watch. I watched Glee a full half season longer than I should have because of that kid.
I watched maybe 2 seasons, and I was like, "Nah, son."
Yeah, and that was it.
It was that. That's much.
I would have quit at a season and a half if he hadn't suddenly showed up.
Exactly.
I was like, oh wait, he's singing Teenage Dream and looking dreamy? Yeah, okay, I'll stick around for this for a little while longer. That's fine.
It does bother me that 20-year-olds are playing teens, that kind of shit.
Yeah. And then I feel gross for having a thing for a 20-year-old. At the time I was 28. I don't know. Still.
We good?
Mm-hmm. I'm sorry that we have that side, but I'm just saying it does look like him, doesn't it?
I don't know. I never got there in that show, so I don't know. But what I was gonna say was I thought that I keep wanting to call him fucking Renfield was initially I thought it was the assistant to the dude in the museum, Mr. Sweet. Professor Sweet.
Yeah,
Mr. Sweet.
It's not the assistant to the dude in the museum. It's the assistant to
the mental
Patty
doctor.
LaPone.
Yeah, who's back? How about that?
is back. I love that scene so much.
I'm wondering whether she is aware or is going to be aware of like him starting to act all weird, and if she has been aware of his proclivity for rough sex with prostitutes. I imagine she would have to be, because she seems to be somewhat on point. Meaning like perfectly on point.
Like exactly on point.
Yeah. So I'm wondering about that.
Well, we'll get to that scene. There are a lot of things about that scene that just make me super happy.
Yeah.
So.
Well, are we skipping the part that, like, if I can...
We're not skipping anything. We just started talking about stuff.
We just started talking. We haven't even introduced ourselves. We're doing that thing again.
Yeah, the episode starts off. Vanessa is living like my grandma started to live.
Vanessa has gone feral, is basically what has happened. She's spilling milk all over herself.
Still remembers how to smoke, like, because there is a huge, like, ashtray filled with cigarette butts. And that's kind of what, because my grandmother was not, like, cleaning up after herself. She was, like, we went to visit one time, and a raccoon ran out of her living room.
Wow.
Out the back door. And my mom's like, there was a raccoon. And she goes, oh, yeah, that's just Clarence.
Oh, okay.
Little King Trash Mouth.
Yeah, I was just gonna fucking do that. Thank you, Maggie. Thank you. You know, she looks very Smeagol.
Yeah.
Like her, she looks sensitive to the light.
Yeah.
She looks like deep in the throes of a depression.
Yeah, it is like, and I'm really glad that she actually, like, that Mr. Lyle is so persistent and that she listens to him, because my grandmother was so deeply in denial and so lacking in self-awareness that when we tried to point out how not normal this was, the way that she was living, she just couldn't see it. She couldn't see it. She didn't want to see it. And
I think Vanessa has been aware for quite a while now that she's not normal. So when somebody comes in and says, so this is not normal, she's like, yeah, so what else is new? Okay, what's not normal about this? Let's talk about that.
Mr. Lyle puts, like, so he tries to go sit down and talk to her. He puts a fucking, like, napkin down.
Handkerchief down.
Yeah, he won't even sit on the chair.
That was a good Niles Crane moment right there.
Oh, it was really good.
His hair looks way more red this season.
It's different. They've done something slightly different with it.
Oh, I didn't notice that. Okay.
Yeah. Sorry about that. My window's open. It's getting warm and muggy here. So, like, I do have a window open, and I apologize. But
I wonder how long is it supposed to have been? About a month? Maybe? I guess not that long, because he's still on the ship, and maybe like 8 weeks.
He's been in Africa, so it takes him a while to get to Zanzibar, I would assume. And then Ethan's only just in getting to the New Mexico territory, but I suppose that takes a long time too at this point. So
do we want to talk about Ethan's hair?
Well, we're not there yet.
Cute. It looks cute. I'm good with it.
But so yeah, Mr. Lyle walks in and sees, like, the kitchen. It's just, they do such a good job of just being really frank with what this looks like, because this is depression, man. Been there. Where the place is just so disgusting and only you could ever tolerate it. Nobody wants to live in anybody else's gross, but you can live in your own gross for a shocking amount of time before you start to be like, no, I can't do this anymore. And there are flies crawling all over the abandoned plates and pots and pans. There's cobwebs hanging from the ceilings. Half the furniture is covered in sheets. Everything is musty and dark. All of the shutters are closed. It is disgusting. Yeah. And she is wearing a dress that looks like she has not gotten out of it. Like, she's
because I'm pretty sure she's wearing it in the previously. It's the same dress. That's just what she's been wearing for a month.
And probably hasn't bathed or anything, you know.
When I was like 12, I was so depressed one summer. I didn't wash my hair an entire summer.
Oh, man.
I just, like, slept all day, went on the internet, and that was it.
If you have shorter hair, I guess you could probably get away with that for longer. There comes a point, like...
You could not have had an open flame near me. like, my dad would joke because he would smoke, so like he would have a lighter and he would just like kind of like pass by my room and flick the lighter, and he was like, "Oh wait, like fire hazard and shit like that."
Grease fire. Yeah.
My hair just mats in the back into like this one solid dreadlock, and it'll do that after only like 3 or 4 days. So I can't. I wish I could get it. Even when it's straight, it does that. But there was an I think it was Sylvia Plath who she describes being depressed in the bell jar, and she talks about how she didn't see the point in bathing because she was just going to get dirty again, and she only wanted to have to do it once and have it be done with. The fact that she had to bathe again and again and again was really frustrating and pointless feeling to her. And I was like, oh my God, that's so exactly it. I never really like put words to it, but that is definitely a thing with me, where especially when my hair is like so high maintenance that dealing with it is like its own thing. And I'm like, I don't want to do this. No, I'm just going to have to do it again.
Well, that's how I feel about my goddamn house, because I live with 2 small children and they make huge messes. And I will vacuum, and the house will immediately be dirty again, like 15 minutes later. And I'll just like there have been times where I've just been in a mindset, or like I've been, I wouldn't necessarily say I've gone full depressed, but dysthemic or whatever, where I'm just like, I don't see the point. Like after Hanukkah this year, it was like weeks before I vacuumed because I was like, nah, I'll just leave all these toys here. I don't give a shit. Like I just couldn't get it together. And I was like, they're just going to make a mess again. Every time I tried to pick the toys up, they'd like dump them back out again. And I'm like, all right, well, these just live here now. This is where these toys live, is right here on the floor in this corner, until I finally just couldn't stand it anymore. And then was like, I'm cleaning everything, which is, joy of being bipolar, I guess, on a much smaller scale. It's either like, no, fuck it, I'm not doing anything, or I will do everything.
That is really, all or nothing is just such a thing with, it's also a thing with addiction. Yeah. It's just, they're just.
It's all tied together.
Yeah, man. So anyway, he comes in and basically he's here to say, you are in trouble. I know it because I was here once too. And I am not going to leave until you open this door. And when he sits down and starts telling her about everything that he went through, I was not sure how she was going to react because he says he wants her to see a mental doctor. And there's such a stigma with that anyway. Plus, she got committed for a while.
She has not had great experiences with mental doctors. Although what he's talking about is very different. Because he's talking about talk therapy, which was very new at this point in time, as opposed to whatever the psych establishment was.
Fire hoses and shock treatment.
Yeah. Very different. Instead, he's saying, hey, look, Freud, and pointing her in that direction instead of, bore holes in her skull. So
instead of boring holes in a skull, the dude will just, bore her to death about, how she's secretly thinking about penises.
There's that. We'll see if she goes, if a female talk therapist will go, analyst will go in that direction. But, I can't. I don't do Freudianism well, but, it's a better option than what she was presented with before, I suppose.
And let's says, can we not at least try to bring you back to the mammalian community? Oh, bless your heart. I love that the most.
Yeah, and I'm going to say, like I just said, I don't really do Freud, but Vanessa has some daddy issues.
That's true.
If anybody could maybe look at things from a Freudian analysis point of view and maybe get some benefit out of it, Vanessa might have that.
Do you think it's daddy issues or mommy issues? Because it was her mom that she caught fucking.
Oh, it's both. Yeah, it's a combination. Because she's got these confusing feelings about, a father figure that she also clearly has a sexual component to, because she saw him having sex with her mom and never really forgave her mom, and it's just a whole ball of yarn that she could have untangled by the lovely and talented Patti LuPone. But they don't have that many episodes, so who knows if we'll really finally get to the real core of Vanessa. So you're right, I do want to fuck Malcolm. It all makes sense now.
So finally he says, like, I'm the proof that this works. Resplendently who I am, which is such a great line also. And he says, so I'll make an appointment and we shan't say any more about it. You'll just have to show up and you may want to, do something with your hair. And she starts crying and like crawls over to him and like lays her head in his lap. And it is so sweet and it's so nice.
It's adorable.
I loved it the most. Thank you, Mr. Lyle.
I love just the look on her face, just this look of relief.
Mm-hmm.
And, oh, right, someone cares.
There's somebody left. I thought everybody was gone, but there's one.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, bless him. So, on the train, in America, snake holes, wolf dens, these guys and the animal bones. This whole country is built on skeletons. I'm like, you ain't wrong.
Mm-hmm.
Ethan is not talking and seems to almost still be in a state of shock that he is where he is.
Yeah.
There's something about it that's like, I think looking back, it's him being fully aware that these guys are not long for this world because of who he is and just the way his father operates, evidently.
Mm-hmm.
But at the moment, you're not sure why he has this look on his face, and he's like glancing around at these dudes that I thought he was just looking at them like, oh, you're guards and I can't move because you're watching me. But as it turns out, it's like he knows who some of these dudes are and is giving them significant looks like, yeah, I know you're going to make your move in a second. Okay. I guess I can't do shit about it either. And I really wouldn't if I could. Maybe. I don't know where he stands on this.
Well, he seems to be, I don't know, when they show him later, his parting lines to them is, good luck.
Mm-hmm.
I have a feeling Ethan may be approaching his, monthly guest.
Right.
So,
Aunt Flo.
One where, I was going to say his Aunt Flo.
Yep.
Aunt Flo's coming to visit soon. And so he was like, either my dad's sending somebody to get these guys or I'm going to eat their heads off soon because they don't know what they're in for. So.
Right.
But now his dad sent people and he's probably going to eat their heads off. So he's like, all right, have fun. We'll have fun. This will be fun. Let's travel around the desert. I'm hungry.
Yeah, he is like, there was just so much to this that I didn't really get. And the extent that his father is willing to go to is crazy town.
Mm-hmm.
They murder like 20 people at least. And I do have to say, as an aside, that I thought one of the dudes that he was sitting across from looked exactly like the guy who plays the Punisher in Daredevil. And I thought it was him for a split second.
I didn't notice.
Oh,
I noticed that too.
Did you see that? I totally was like, wait, what?
Oh,
he's in this? But
it's not. I checked the IMDb and I could not find a matching name.
Yeah, so it's not. His face is too narrow. He just looked so much like him for a second.
Do you know that the Amtrak still has a little bar
on a train?
Yeah.
On a car? Yeah, there's a little car. Yeah.
I think trains still have not advanced that much in terms of shit.
They did on the East Coast. They have the Acela trains. That they did 15-ish years ago. It was when I was still living in New York, and I took it a few times. And it's still a garbage train. They're like, this is going to get you from New York to Boston so much faster. I'm like, do you understand what the trains are like in Japan? Do you understand what the trains are like in Germany? This is nothing. It still takes you 45 minutes to get out of the, metropolitan area, the immediate, out of the boroughs, because you have to go slow through all these power lines and rail yards. They're like, oh, we don't really keep track of where all the other trains are, so they might just come out of nowhere. So we just kind of have to go really slow and hope we don't get hit by any trains. It's just ridiculous. And I'm like, this is not an express train. This was not worth the extra $50.
I think listeners know I'm from Massachusetts, and so we, like, a few years ago, like 2009, so like 8 years ago or something, there was a bit of legislation of like where the next T stop should be, and the closest one to me is in Middleborough Lakeville, which is about an hour away almost, 45 minutes away, and fucking like. So we got it passed. This is when Barney Frank was still in office, and I personally went to his office with a big thing of a train, and I wore a conductor hat.
A big thing of a train? What do you mean a big thing of a train?
I made a cardboard cutout of a train.
Oh, okay.
And a bunch of us like were all wearing conductor hats, and like I had a little stick figure of Barney Frank in a conductor outfit, and it was bring the tea to my city. And so it passed, but guess who got it first? The fine print of like the details afterward. Providence got the T station first, and completely bypassing us when we have a nice rail yard. Like, we still have old fashioned fucking tracks.
Yeah,
like I can drive by them and like see them. So like I just wish like just give me a good train.
Trains are fun, man. It's such a shame. I really wish we did more stuff with trains. It's stupid that we don't, especially given how garbagey air travel is. Everybody hates flying.
I really do hate flying. And like, I love train. Like, I love the watching of the view and everything like that.
Yeah, I even just like watching Ethan on the train. I mean, I like watching Ethan. But, you know, look at him on the train. That's so fun.
Rewatching that scene, I think she did do some magics, that witch girl, Hecate, to kind of like blend. Yeah, like an obfuscation kind of thing. Because, like, she legit kind of...
Isn't that what it is?
Yeah, I think so. I don't know if that's the legit spell in fucking D&D, but like, just like a weird cloaking where she was gonna get shot, but then I think she just melded into the background, which we know that they've done in the past. So I legit think that's what happened.
Okay, that might make a little bit more sense. Like, so she blended into the background after
they'd already
he'd been distracted.
Right, and then but I don't think she can do that during the day. Isn't that the whole point? Is they kind of can't do their tricks during the day. They can only do it at night. They're the nightcomers, night bringers, or night whatever.
But it's shown that she can. Remember when it was still daytime and she went through the mirror to talk to Ethan?
Was that during daytime?
Yeah.
Yeah, it was.
You're right.
I think it's because maybe she's a little stronger.
She's more powerful, and we see her doing spells during the day. We see all of them doing spells during the day, but like as far as actually like the whole blending into walls thing, we only see at night, when they're in that like crazy form with the brands all over them.
Right.
But I don't know. Maybe the mirror thing sort of falls in between. I don't know.
Yeah, because she turns into that form with the brands on her to go into the mirror.
Into the mirror.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So,
yeah. Internal logic show. Boo. Yeah. Come on.
I think maybe it was true for her, like the mom and like the other witches, but like I don't think Lyle has ever seen Hecate like full out do shit, I guess. I don't know. But like there was just this weird moment where like you kind of see her and she's watching everyone getting shot and she kind of just like blends for a minute, and then suddenly she's getting like up close and personal, and then like he gets distracted and like shoots the door where Renfield is and shit like that. But I don't know.
Well, people write in if you have theories, because that was the only thing in this episode that I was just kind of like, I don't know about that. And kind of skipped it because this is happening when they pull their guns, but before this, the inspector is talking to the bartender who is like, well, he doesn't look that dangerous. What do you do? And he's like, he slaughtered a bunch of people and ate a lot of them. And I was like,
yes,
that sounds so scary, man, when you say it like that. Okay.
Yeah, especially because he said like, "et," like he said it in this like super Britty sort of way. Yeah, it wasn't just he ate them; he ate them. Liked it. Oh,
Et is one that I get from the Cabin in the Woods. My arms all et.
Yeah.
Do you remember that moment?
So about Ethan, sounds like it could be a thing.
Ethan has undergone some changes, and they're not the wolfy kind.
Changes.
He has short hair.
Yeah, he looked good.
Yeah, he does look good.
I'm really startled that he is as good looking with short hair as he is with long hair. That he's better looking.
Good looking. I don't get it.
Like, it's not really fair that there are people who like can just do whatever they want and they always look amazing. Like, what is that like? I don't. That's just.
I think the closest to it is my hair. That's about it.
The closest to like your hair can do whatever and it still looks good.
Yeah,
what I mean,
like I
my
think
hair
that's
is not that way.
I just think that's the closest I could be to Ethan Chandler, aka Josh Hartnett. It's just with my hair.
Yeah, I like. It's distracting, honestly. Them cutting his hair has made him so much even better looking than he had been that it distracts me a little bit now when he's on screen because I'm just like, Jesus Christ.
It brings out his cheekbones.
And
so
his eyebrows,
much.
like his eyebrows look more defined or something, so it draws attention to his eyes. Like his whole look.
And his squintiness, and it's just like, God.
And that squintiness is something that I normally fucking hate. Like,
yeah.
George Clooney does the squinty thing, and I'm just like, oh my God, get over yourself. Fucking knock it off, dude. Get some sunglasses. I don't know.
No. See, George Clooney does the squinty thing because I think he legit can't see, and he's doing the old man thing. Like, he needs reading glasses. Like, he does have reading glasses. Like, I've seen, like, celebrity pictures of him. He has reading glasses. But he's not wearing them, and so he's constantly doing the thing, like, you know, like people who can't see glasses.
Mm-hmm.
He's not trying to do a smolder. He's literally like, I need this to stop being
I need help.
But like fucking Josh Hartnett just has like those eyes. And like but there's this weird like, I wonder if men just do that like that to be dramatic, because there's no way, because they have to be all quiet. Yeah, they just have to be the squinty thing. Like Malcolm does it. Fucking like Renfield does it in this episode too.
Does he? I didn't notice that.
When he watches them right away, and he's like, it's a slight squint. I want to say it's a tamed squint, but it is a squint.
Tamed squint.
Well, he's a Brit, so maybe they have to just not do that.
It's impolite to squint too hard.
I guess so.
I'm not
maybe
American.
When they full squint, they have to put a pinky up or something. I don't know. I'm just saying.
The scene where everybody gets massacred is rough.
Mm-hmm.
Like, there's something about the gunplay in this show that feels so much more brutal and real. And I'm not sure if it is real, because I don't know enough about, you know, like how that kind of attack or that kind of gun would work to know if this is actually accurate to how somebody's body would react. Because sometimes you'll have scenes where somebody gets blown backward by a gun and you find out that that's actually not at all what would happen. They would just fall, and it would be very kind of like almost anticlimactic because of how low key the gunshot would have wound up seeming. Mm-hmm. But the way everybody's heads just explode.
And throwback.
Yeah, and there's an actual hole that appears in their heads for a second that is about the size of a silver dollar. And it just, I don't know, there's something that I was just grossed out is not the right word. I was disturbed by it when I first watched this episode.
That close range and those kind of revolvers, I know that they were doing a variety of, I don't know if they got lazy with the props or whatever, but it does look like it's not clones of the same thing. Mm-hmm. So it looks like a variety of revolvers. I think they just went to like some basement where they had some like fake guns and were just like, here we go. But at that close range, yeah, you would be like, these are not small caliber, but they're not big caliber either. But like,
yeah, Owen was saying something the other day, and I was like, a rifle, and he was like, it's a shotgun, and I'm like, yeah, that's what I said. Like, whatever, don't care.
Right there with you. See, this is what happens when you don't grow up in Texas. You're
right.
Like, that it's a big one. It's a big.
Yeah, it's one of the ones that it's long.
It's long. It's long, and it shoots big bullets far.
For hunting, I think. You hunt a thing with it.
You hunt with them, or also murder people with them. But it's up to you.
It's really up to you.
No, I was in rifle team.
What's that?
I was in rifle team in ROTC.
You were in ROTC?
Yeah. I love that. That's
college
the part.
Or in high school? Oh wow! I cannot picture that.
Well, yeah, because I'm very different now. Yeah, I was in ROTC and I was in rifle team. I was pretty good. I wanted to go into the Navy, like my dad.
Oh, fun!
I can't imagine ever wanting that. What's that like?
I
wanted something to pay for college.
Oh, okay, that I understand.
And so, but my grandfather prevented me from enlisting. So,
why?
Because they said it's fucked up.
Okay.
And they've served, and they were like, "Yeah, no."
In summary, it's fucked up. You're not going.
Yeah,
I like it.
Yeah, they're like, you got a head on your. Well, this is what my grandfather said. He said you got a head on your shoulders, and I seen war, and I seen plenty of it, and this shit ain't happening.
And this must have been when we were at war. Yes.
Yes.
I don't get at all.
It was a few years after 9/11.
Yeah.
And JROTC, I was kind of like buying into a lot of patriotic bullshit.
Mm-hmm.
And then close to I dropped out of high school, finished my degree myself, and then went into college early. So I was in my freshman year. I was 17, and I was like, yeah, when I turn 18, I'm gonna enlist. But then I started seeing a lot of the dumb racist shit and realizing it was dumb and racist shit.
There is that, yeah.
And then, because literally they had us marching and like talking about how we were gonna like go kill like slurs, like
fun,
nice.
Yeah. And so there was that dramatic shift in me where like, because growing up I was such a fucking hippie, like even though my parents weren't, like I was doing protests when I was a little kid. And thinking about the environment and like all Captain Planet shit. And my dad talked to me about, Malcolm X and shit like that. And then for some reason, I guess I just bought into it in high school. And then abruptly, like it came all to a head. And I was like, you know what? I'm just not. Like so I didn't put up too much of a fight when my dad was like, yeah, you're not going. Well,
like I had a friend who did it in high school and then didn't end up doing it in college. But, at the time, that was in 1997, worst place you're going is Kosovo. Like, This was not a big deal. Like, it was just sort of like, it's peacetime, whatever. Maybe you'll get some money out of it. I don't know. It's just such a totally different concept to do it. And it's like, oh yeah, we're already at 2 wars. Let's do that. Oh my God, my cat. I'm sorry. She's driving me absolutely bonkers. Get out.
I don't know anything about that and cannot relate to it in any way.
I just threw a stuffed animal at her.
I think, and the thing was, there was recruiters every fucking day.
Yeah, there was
that. Like they wanted you young, and they were like, they would literally tell you like, oh, like, you can just fudge, the numbers, we can protect, like, like they were totally willing to let 17-year-olds enlist. And
nice.
like accidentally like put down the wrong date or something, etc. And it would be just like a mishap. Like they were desperate for people.
Mm-hmm. It's fucked up, man. Well, I'm glad that you didn't go.
But if
fuck that, though, because
I'm glad I didn't go. Because you know why? Because I might have died, and I would not be sitting here talking about Ethan Chandler and how much He is so cute.
So that would be the worst.
That would be the worst. Because Ethan Chandler is a hot fucking mess.
Yeah. But, emphasis on the hot.
That I was about to say, that's the first time I've heard hot mess meaning anything other than, like, garbage fire. No, he's a mess, but he's also so hot. God.
Yeah.
He's a mess.
He's literally a hot mess.
All right, so let's move this along because we are taking too goddamn long. We are barely 10 minutes into this episode, and we have been talking for half an hour.
Yeah, so, and my child is awake upstairs. I can hear her walking around.
No. Okay, so train fight, whatever. They take Ethan. He is unsurprised to see them. And it's just like, so he's willing to kill all these people. Welp, of course he is. And Witch Lady gets away. And then we go to Zanzibar. And Mr. Malcolm is in a bad way. He's basically like Vanessa, except that he doesn't have the luxury of home. He he's just not somebody who isolates himself quite the same way, because I think he feel like the way that I imagine him like choosing how he would cope with things is that becoming a recluse, like how Vanessa has chosen to cope with everything, would in his mind attract too much attention and be a little bit too eccentric. And so at least if he's going out and just getting drunk like a man, that still seems normal and fine. But he's clearly like going through the same thing as she was.
And the letter he writes to her is very sweet. Whatever he says, something about like as normal as people such as us can, getting back to a normal life, whatever it is, and
that you hope you found peace.
Yeah. So much as we can. Yeah. And he, because he has such fondness for her, and I'm sure he's worried about her. And he's also super drunk.
Yeah, he's world drunk.
Yeah,
he's drunk, but he can fucking fight still.
He's still able to fight. Well, you know what? I know a lot of guys like that. Sometimes it helps.
And it's like they have so the scene is like he's at a bar and he goes over and like is walking through this small market area, and this woman stops him and is like, "Hey, John Bull," which
what's John Bull, guys?
I have no idea. It sounds way more of like a thing against Americans. John Bull sounds like what you would call like a Joe Schmo.
Right. I don't know the exact etymology of the term. Maybe somebody else does.
Here we go. Wikipedia says John Bull is a national personification of the United Kingdom in general, and England in particular, especially in political cartoons and similar graphic works.
Yeah, I guess I don't read enough British political cartoons.
So John Bull is like Uncle Sam, but for Britain.
Yeah, okay, that makes sense.
No, it doesn't, because fucking bulls don't live in England.
Sure, they do.
Like
they're just male cows.
But he's not a bull. He's a person. He's not.
I know that, but like, I don't know.
It's just a last name. That's a pretty common last name.
Really? Okay.
Yeah.
Because in my head, I'm thinking John Bull, fucking. What's
You're thinking cowboys.
Yeah, I'm thinking cowboys.
Yeah.
Like honestly, if I wanted to say the Joe Schmo equivalent of a cowboy, I would call Ethan a John Bull.
John Bull.
No, I see what you mean. But yeah, apparently that's the thing. I didn't know that this was a thing, though. I never heard of this before. So yeah, when she's like, "Yeah, John Bull," and she says it again, because at first she's like, "Give me more money," and he looks like he's gonna, he was gonna.
He was gonna, and then
until
all of a
she's
sudden,
yeah,
and all of a sudden, the baby's not a baby; it's a gun.
The baby's not a baby; it's a gun. Sounds like the alternative to "We had a baby, it's a boy" commercial. But yeah, she's like, "I'll let you fuck me," and that's when he starts to be like, "Oh, I was just gonna give you money, but if you want me to fuck you, I'm not down for this at all." And then all of a sudden, there's a bunch of dudes surrounding him. She has a gun, and she's in the middle of saying, "Maybe I'll let them fuck you," and a fucking knife just sprouts from the center of her head. Yo! And this dude is behind him. This is a real It reminded me of the moment in Twin Peaks, Maggie, with Hawk, when a knife just appears in somebody's fucking chest, and I was like, "Oh, okay."
Like, yes, Hawk is
Is
here.
Wes Studi in Twin Peaks, or is it the other dude that they always hire for Native American roles?
It's the guy that was different guy. It's a totally different guy.
Okay.
The guy who plays Hawk is not either of those guys.
Okay.
Not this guy or the guy who was on Parks and Rec.
Okay.
Oh, the guy in Parks and Rec. Oh my god.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's John Redcorn.
White people love curses.
My dad would do a lot of John Redcorn, like just to fuck with me.
Yeah, he was on. You haven't watched all of Kimmy Schmidt, right, Natasha?
I've only watched one episode.
Yeah, then I won't talk about him. He does have a brief role on that.
Yes, he's also in the new Denzel Washington movie, The Magnificent Seven, or whatever, that cowboy.
Oh yeah, I never saw that.
Yeah, he plays the bad Indian, because in those westerns they always have to have a good Indian and a bad Indian.
Yep. God forbid we,
one Indian is righteous and the other one's not. And Wes Studi is apparently righteous.
Dude takes him out for a drink and is like, "Yeah, man, your friend."
Wait, they have an old man fight scene first.
Yeah, there's old men fighting, winning.
There's nothing like this is an old man fight scene that still feels badass versus the old man fight scene in, say, Lord of the Rings, which looks so fucking painful that it's hard to watch. When I think old man fight scenes, that's what I think of. It's just like bones like creaking with fucking arthritis and shit.
Can we give Ian McKellen a break? Can we just get him a good double or CGI it or something, please? Like,
I think probably next time he's in something, he may ask for one. He may have reached that point. He may have finally said, all right, I will admit I'm like almost 80. Let's move along.
A cute twinkish boy to look at.
Yeah, exactly. Just have somebody who looks nothing like him. He's like, no, that's my double. What?
Yeah.
He goes everywhere with me. He does all my stunts. It's fine.
I would love to be Ian McKellen's hand boy.
All right, guys, I'm reeling you in.
I know.
So
okay, go.
Moving on. The ship is covered in ice and stuck in the ice. Ice everywhere.
Yeah.
Ice. I won't do
Baby
it.
Ice. I did it for.
And there is a pile of bodies on deck. Clearly, things are going great. Super good situation here. And below decks, Caliban's sitting there chilling, lol, by himself. And the dudes are debating whether or not they should eat the bodies upstairs because they don't have anything left because they've eaten all the bugs and all the rats and all the everything.
And all the shoe leather and all the cloth and just everything. The wood, I think they said they ate wood.
They ate some of the wood, yeah.
Yeah.
And one of the men is saying that it would be better to die. I would rather be dead than resort to that and live with that. Which to me, I don't understand.
Yeah, no.
Like, you know what? There comes a point where meat is meat and whatever. And yeah, is it horrible? Yeah, it is. You know what else is horrible? Is dying of starvation.
Yeah. You're not killing them to eat them. They're people who've already died.
Yeah. And I know me, if I had died and I was like watching this scene, I'd be like, just eat. I'm right there. You know, like I would be frustrated.
You're like, what's the matter with you people? It's perfectly good meat. Perfectly good meat. It's cold. It's been kept fresh.
I'd be like, are you trying to say that you don't want to eat me? What is wrong with me? What exactly are you trying to say about me? I bet I taste fucking great.
Deeply offended in the afterlife,
right?
Would you eat a person?
Yeah. If I had to, absolutely, no question.
I'm not fucking traveling with you then.
Well, just don't die and like leave me stuck in a gorge, and you'll be fine.
She's not gonna like boil you in oil or anything.
Yeah, I'm not gonna kill you.
If you're in the Andes and the plane crashes, I don't know. You're gone, man.
Yeah, if you're gone,
like, Andes, I'm gonna hunt some gator and we can cook that up.
Yeah, but if you're dead, like I'm not eating you instead of hunting.
They're up in the snowy mountains. I'm talking about snow and the Donner Party and places where there is nothing else to get, and they've tried it. Yeah, no, the Andes.
Oh my god.
A lot today.
But anyway, there's a kid who's ill.
Yeah.
And Caliban goes to try and settle him, and we get I think this is our first look at Caliban having a memory of himself.
Yeah, yes? He looks real startled by this. Mm-hmm. Like, I don't think he's had a memory this entire time. Mm-mm. And getting one now after everything just seems to have thrown him completely. Mm-hmm. And it's the song that he's singing is All Through the Night, mm-hmm. which is one of my favorites.
Mine too.
I learned it from this Christmas movie called A Child's Christmas in Wales that my grandmother used to play around Christmas time. Yeah. And he's singing it, which triggers the memory, which I really like because songs do that. Smells do that. Like, they're just stuff is powerful. And he kind of reacts oddly because after this memory, he stands up and asks, like, how much time do you think this boy has left? And the guy's like, a couple of days less, probably. And he's like, well, they won't give him that, so. And then just snaps his neck.
But first he kisses him on the head.
Yeah.
Which I thought was really sweet.
It is, because, yeah, like, it seems like that memory of what looks like his son, mm-hmm. Singing to his son, really, like, got to him. But I'm not clear because the guy asked him to stand aside because he was going to put the kid out of his misery. Mm-hmm. And he won't do it. But then he has this memory, and now he will do it. And why is that?
I think because he remembers, like, loving a kid. And, like, it is sympathetic. Like, to be quite honest, if I was in that situation with my kid and I didn't want them to suffer, I probably would.
Okay. So you think, because in the flashback, his son is not asleep. He's, like, sort of awake. He clearly looks ill. So you think it's, like, jogged the memory of just watching a kid suffer and realizing that he can't bear to do that. Okay.
I think that, like, that overwhelming feeling of love and, like, that parental instinct.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Like, I don't know. It just, like, probably, I think it did shock him a bit to be like, you know what? Okay, yeah, this kid should not suffer. It's like, you know.
And he's strong enough to be able to do it real quick.
Yeah,
the
other
guy
true.
might not be.
That's true.
Caliban's he can crack his neck like it's a chicken, you know?
Mm-hmm.
It's real easy. Or a bunny, you know, something like you would see, just like a tiny animal. They can do this, as opposed to that other guy who was going to go, it was not going to be.
Butcher him, basically, because he had a knife, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah. Or even if you feel like you tried to strangle him, it would just be like he's really weak because of the cold. Yeah. And it would just be a weird, long process that would just make the kid suffer.
Yeah.
But then he's like, I'm going to go home. And he goes outside
and
to walk.
He just fucking walks away.
Yeah.
There's something kind of hilarious about that moment where it's like, you know, I know that he's got superpowers and can probably survive better than most. But also, like, you guys could have just walked up out of there and you didn't? What are you doing, dudes?
But they can't. He can't. But they would freeze to death.
But they're already freezing to death? It's not like they have a fucking fire down there or anything. Like,
might as well make a run for it.
Yeah, make a run for it. Make a little hole in the ice and fish and make an igloo.
Nah, these are white people. They're just...
I was gonna say these are white people. They're
just like, we give up. Let's eat the children.
But you know what?
This is hard.
This is hard. That's literally what the Pilgrims were going to do. That was literally going to bring us back to West Studi. That was the Pilgrims were going to fucking do. And guess what?
Yeah.
I want, can somebody please, I have to remember this moment to tell Chris to put this in some promo. This is hard. Let's eat the children. I want to get that put on a t-shirt. Yeah. Penny Dreadful. You heard it here first, folks.
Yay, I have a catchphrase.
Nice. Maggie,
anyway.
You're great.
Woohoo! But so my child is upstairs terrified because she does not know the context. She just heard you yell
saying that you're going to eat the children.
Now she's going to think that your mom is going to eat her.
She loves Disney villains, right? She'll be fine with it.
She'll understand once I explain it to her, but now she's up there just like, what's she talking about?
All right. So
the moment for me was like, I was confused, like, how is he going to fucking walk all the way to England? But then I remember this is the 1800s. The ice caps are probably chill.
Get it?
He could probably
get
it.
They're chill because they're ice.
There's a fair amount of ice cover for a while, I think.
Yeah. That I think you could probably get decently far. Like,
he might be able to swim. I think it might be too far north.
Do you think he would sink?
He might sink. Wolverine. I don't know enough. Like, I don't know what. He's not Wolverine. He doesn't have adamantium bones.
But I'm just saying, I think he would float.
Like, why would he float? Corpses float? Yeah, corpses float. People float. Not just corpses. People do.
But he doesn't. Does he breathe? Like,
that's what I'm saying.
Does he have air in his lungs? Because
that's what makes you buoyant.
Keeps you buoyant. Yeah.
So, I think, I would assume so because Lily bled.
Yeah,
so I'm
and we see him,
but she's 3.0 though.
But do we see his breath in this scene when he's cold, when he's breathing? Because I know we see breath in other people. I don't know. I don't know.
I don't think so. Because if he could breathe, then he would have, like, not that he would possibly get sick, but like he was totally chill with that TB area. Like,
it's really hard to tell if you can see, because there is like a lot of wind and snow blowing, so I can't say for sure.
There's a lot of shit going
on. Again, this is, the show could be a little bit more internally consistent about these things, and I think if we get too bogged down in it, it's just going to be pointless. But let's say he's aware that he's pretty sure he can make it back to England on his own foot, one way or another. How
CG were his eyes though? This episode.
They were pretty extra bluey.
Yeah.
And his scar on the side of his face looks way more pronounced.
Yeah, I noticed that also, because I was like, people would always be like, "Oh, that face," and I was like, "It's really not that bad, guys."
No, it's not.
And this episode, I was like, "All right, now it looks a little bit worse, but it's a little late now."
But I do want to say again, like, Lily is 3.0. Like, we had Caliban, then we had Proteus. And, like, Lily looks considerably more human than, like, Proteus does. Proteus still kind of looked a little janky.
Yeah.
Better.
He had those eyes.
Yeah, he had those eyes, and he kind of had that head. So, like, I don't know. I think, like, maybe the more, like, maybe if a 4.0 came out, like, they would be very human-like.
Maybe. All right, so back in Zanzibar, Malcolm is having drinks with the Native American guy, who is telling him that he needs to come back with him to America, and if he agrees to come, then the guy will tell him the whole story, which seems a little backwards from how you want to do this, but I think that he has judged Malcolm correctly in just being like, I have an adventure, you love adventure, you don't care what it is, you'll come with me anyway. And Malcolm tries to be like, well, what makes you think I like adventure? What do you even mean? I don't know. Maybe I just want to go home. And he's like, and tells him that Ethan Chandler needs his help. Surprise, he knows Ethan. And
not only does he know Ethan, he says he is like a son to me.
Yes.
And I think Malcolm's kind of like, hey.
Right?
But that's my jam.
They have like a dad, like they have a dad off almost.
They do have a moment of dad off. I was like, if you say so, man, but like, where have you been for the last year?
What's his favorite color? Huh?
Yeah.
Does he like vanilla or chocolate pudding cups? Yeah, that's what I thought.
So we also
they're going to stand on opposite ends of the hall and like call Ethan to them. Come here, Ethan. Come here. Come here, boy.
Do you think people ship Malcolm and Kayentene?
Almost definitely, right? People ship every fucking buddy. People just need to get a life. Stop it, everyone. Knock it off.
I think I can kind of see them being the two dads, and then Ethan, the little baby, little baby Ethan. Just fucking, I don't know.
Ethan as a baby is terrifying. Don't make me think about that.
Not like a legit baby, but like baby as in BB, like the internet BB.
Hey, BB.
Baby.
So yeah.
So
that's them.
That's them. And then we go to this posse in New Mexico again.
Yes.
With Chandler. Or they call him Mr. Talbot. Yeah.
Yeah, who's like, you work for my father. And I'm like, man, I thought we had that established. And yeah, he killed all those people on that train just to get to you. And he says, the man wants to see you again. Well, maybe it's about time he did. Dun, dun, dun!
The guy in the hat kind of strangely looks a lot like the dude, like the Pinkerton dude.
I can see that. No,
yeah,
I
like
see what
I
you're
almost
saying.
kind of when
eyes.
I first watched this episode, I was half wondering like, you killed like with my brother or some shit like that. I was half expecting it, but like,
yeah, I could see sometimes like shows reusing actors. There's a thing in Vikings where there's a character who gets he wears a ton of makeup most of the time for the main character that he plays, and he shows up in another episode as somebody else. And I could tell it was him just barely. I was like, is that the same fucking actor? And it is. And they just like don't say anything about it, and it doesn't mean anything. But they just use the same guy. I was like, I guess.
Maybe as a plot point, they'll be like, it was his twin brother or some shit. I don't know.
And definitely not. Like, I kind of wondered if that meant something.
Wow.
But yeah, absolutely not. It's just, you're just not meant to really pick up on it, I don't think. But they're just being economical, I guess. But yeah, so let's go to London because we haven't even fucking touched on Victor yet.
Yeah, I know.
Victor,
I wonder why,
is a mess, and not a hot mess, not a good mess, not an interesting mess. Just like, oh god, dude, get over it, kind of mess. Like, you know what? Maybe you should have taken all those ghosts' advice, dude. You're just a wreck now. And his friend, surprise, Dr. Jekyll, comes to visit him. And Dr. Jekyll,
we had to hear such racism in his scene.
Like, right? Yeah, it was delightful.
Which I did not know.
Screaming out the window.
Yeah, I didn't know that the N-word was used against like Indian people.
Yeah.
I shouldn't be surprised, but like, yeah.
Well, historically, the N-word has been applied to a lot of different people, especially with like some other adjective in front of that.
Yeah.
But like a lot of Europeans for some reason thought like Indians were black, actually. And like they kind of are, but like not really. And because like they're the closest to Africa, and if you want to think of like, the migration from Africa up or outward more accurately, but like, and also the West Indies too. The reason we have the West Indies is because they put black people and Indians on those islands to go work.
Right.
And I think a lot of people did think that they were black back then. And
well, I know that those sorts of epithets were also used in South Africa because there's a pretty large Indian community in South Africa.
Yeah,
And when there are plenty of black people and plenty of Indian people, and they don't care, they're just gonna call them names.
Yeah, that's kind of it, right? Like like I think that's what I meant when I was like, I shouldn't be surprised, because when people are gonna use language like that, they aren't fucking precise about it. They don't fucking care.
Like, oh no, you're a slightly lighter shade. Never mind. I'll be nicer. Like, no, they kind of just are all hateful and awful.
And I'm gonna be quite honest. I get that the folks on the show wanted a bit of diversity, and like, why Dr. Jekyll? Because we know his fucking story. And it kind of feels like, like the Dirty Savage thing, like the whole like, well, you can't control your sexual appetite and your anger and shit like that. And like, it kind of subtly feels that way.
Yeah, I think it maybe would feel less that way if they hadn't just killed off the only black person on the show.
Yeah,
okay, well that's great. We were just sticking with one. Well, no, we've got Kaya and A too. So that's our diversity. And
I like the idea that they like just put a pamphlet down with pictures. That's our diversity. There.
Yeah,
that's it.
Like it's the stock photos they put in the fucking in the pamphlet in the school college, thing.
I was really feeling a little bit of like The Walking Dead. There can only be one vibe for sure.
Yeah,
a little bit with this. And I feel like we're saying, well, there is Kanye, but he's also like, I feel like if they had chosen a black character, there really could only be one. But since they're two lighter brown people, we can have two because we've watered it down a little bit.
Like equal one black person.
Right, exactly.
Yes, exactly. How many brown folks equals to one black person?
Mm-hmm.
And so, and for women, we have more women. Well, actually, no, the last season was the most women.
Yeah, because of all the witches. But
yeah, I don't know if that really helps.
Right, exactly.
Lots of representation. They're all evil.
I know, they're all evil, and they want to kill another woman. How many have passed the Bechdel test though? Because a lot of them are just talking about Vanessa. So,
well, how much are they talking about Satan? Because he counts.
True.
I mean,
true, but is he? He's not a love interest except for.
I mean, kind of
Vanessa.
I guess.
Kind of is.
But not a great love interest.
He's like Evelyn's sugar daddy.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah,
like,
he is.
He's kind of it's kind of a romantic thing, weirdly. But anyway, Victor basically says, what's going on with Victor is that they used to be old friends in school, and they did this kind of experimentation together, and he didn't think that it was like possible, but Victor got it to work. Surprise, surprise. And now Victor's like, yeah, so I need to kill her, and you're gonna help me. And he's very, very fucking presumptuous about it. Like,
oh yeah,
he just says you're going to do this. You will do this.
He still looks like he's been using.
Oh, for sure. His arm is disgusting.
Yeah, it is.
That is some Requiem arm shit we're getting towards now. And there's a bit of a like almost like sexual vibe between them. And I'm kind of not sure on whether or not that is a mutual thing or if that is just on Dr. Jekyll's part. If it's like, something that maybe they experimented and they just didn't really like, it didn't come to anything. But, oh, excuse me. I like
what if
swallowed
something. What if the whole Jekyll thing too is again also about homosexuality?
Which like, can we not? Like, I get what you mean. Like, I just, everything's problematic. Whatever. There's no good.
I'm saying it's problematic. I'm just wondering if like that's what they're trying to go for. Which, you know what, a gay Dr. Jekyll would not be.
I don't have a problem with a gay Dr. Jekyll. I have a problem with if it's like that's part of what they decide to do with his character. It's like, the horrible dark part of himself is gay.
Yeah,
like,
that's what's problematic.
Right. But they could do it, but I'm just kind of like, I just don't like what you're saying if you do that,
But it'd be funnier if it was like a drag persona. Like that's what he would change into when he got like
yeah, Dr. Jekyll and Ms. Hyde.
Oh no, I forgot about that.
Hyde. Yes. Oh my god, that'd be a great RuPaul's Drag Race.
No. Who was in that movie? Was it? It wasn't. Jim Carrey. Who the fuck was in that? I think it was a name. I'm trying to remember. I don't even know. Dr. Jekyll and Ms. Hyde is a real. It was a movie.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Yeah, because our culture is ridiculous.
Mm-hmm.
It's basically what it boils down to.
So wait, so someone did the plot that I just mentioned?
Mm-hmm. I thought that's what you were referencing.
No, I wasn't. I was legit thinking I was having a creative individual thing.
I'm sorry. Sorry.
God damn it.
And it's not even just that they did it. They did it badly too, which is almost worse. Like, just don't do it at all then.
It was Tim Daly.
Who the fuck is that?
Tim Daly from Wings.
Yeah.
Oh God.
Yeah. Tim Daly, Sean Young, and someone named Lisette Anthony, who I don't know who that is.
So I'm just gonna like speed through this because there's a lot of like fucking proselytizing here,
shit.
And there's these like a tale suitable for Blackest Midnight. I'm like, yeah, we get it. All right,
all right, Victor.
And he finally is like, well, what if I could make her like love you though? what if I could make her purr in your lap like a kitten? And I'm like, ew.
These weird, gross, straight dudes just talking.
Fucking dudes cannot help themselves. Drugging and raping and reanimating corpses to fuck them. For Christ's sake, guys. Get a hold of yourselves. You're embarrassing our race. And by race, I mean humanity. Ugh.
But we have a redemption in the next scene from this weird, gross shit. In what's the actress name again, Maggie?
Patti LuPone.
Yes.
So she's back. I'm like real interested in this whole weird thing because apparently her last name is the same as the Cutwife's. So what's that about? And she does not seem to recognize Vanessa. I don't think she's like straight up lying to her. Mm-hmm. So I do think she's a different person, which is really interesting.
Vanessa gets this look on her face like she's by the end of this scene when she's like, we've met before, and she goes, no, I'm quite sure not. She goes, someone quite like you. Mm-hmm. And she's like all excited. She's like, from the West Country, Devon people. And she's like, yeah, my ancestors a long time ago. And Vanessa's like,
yeah, she looks super excited. Like that basically seems to me more than anything the reason that she's agreeing to come back.
Yeah, and all of a sudden it kind of kicks her out of things a little bit and snaps her out of it and sends her off to the museum. But the two of them are they have a great back and forth because Dr. Clayton seems like the type who is used to monopolizing, being the smartest person in the room. And Vanessa's so taken aback by this, and she's so out of it, and she hasn't spoken in a month, basically. Her voice is so...
I love that detail of her voice being really
She
raspy.
literally has not spoken. She has not spoken. Why would she have spoken in a month? She hasn't.
Even in that whole scene with Mr. Lyle, she doesn't speak once.
Nope, she does not. But by the end of that scene, and, Vanessa's able to pounce back at her a little bit and be like, oh no, but you want me as a patient because you need interesting people to collect. And she goes, to cure. She's like,
is there a difference?
Yeah, 6 of one, half a dozen of the other. And I like that. And I think that Dr. Clayton is sort of like, oh, okay, well, she's not just going to be a pushover.
Which leads to her fucking drag Reed takedown.
Yeah.
She
does.
Her severe part and her hair and just like, I just love everything about this.
Yeah, so she just is like, so my favorite part of the whole thing was you like to blend in and seem normal, but you also occasionally do like to have attention, and so you can dress to catch the eye. But then the men who notice you think are imbeciles because of being so easily taken in by such a clearly outward show. So you lose respect for them. And I'm like, oh my God, this is me. This is me. This is me. Like, I love the attention when I dress like a hoe. I love it. But also guys who go for it, I'm just like, you are so lame. Oh my God, get a life. And going for complicated, impossible men, which that thankfully is not quite me, but I definitely go for a very specific type based on the fact that they don't seem to react to my outward show the way that most men do. And that's what attracts me to them, is that they like handle themselves completely differently. I just like and I have a small inheritance. Small or large, really? Large. Then why did you say small? I don't know.
I wanted to be polite.
Politeness, I suppose. Is it impolite to have money? I don't know. Like just being pushed and pushed. Oh, so good. Such a good scene. I love the whole thing. I really wonder what the rest of her practice looks like. Like, who else has experience with her? How long has she been here? I just really want to know all about this lady. And I wonder if Vanessa is going to mention to Mr. Lyle how much she resembles someone that she used to know, or if that's just going to be purely for herself that she knows that. because there's no real reason to tell him, but she has nobody else around, and I don't know how much she's going to start sharing again. Like, I'm not sure how prepared she is to enter back into like being social right away, I guess is really where I'm at. So I just kind of wonder if she's going to share any of that, or if it's going to be a while and she's going to need to stay somewhat private again. Because it was surprising to me that she not only goes out to see the doctor, but then she goes to the museum, somewhere quite public, and does something different. Because that's a big step to take when you haven't even been out of the house in weeks. So I was kind of impressed with that, because I know for me, it's as somebody who likes to be social, but also can have like bad anxiety, the internet is like the best possible thing. And actually getting my ass out of the house for real can be such a battle when I can accomplish so much of what I want to go out to do on the computer.
Yeah, not going out to do it.
Exactly. So the fact that she chose to do something that kind of dramatic, going to a museum alone, that's something that people like just don't like to do in general. Even people who aren't struggling with depression and anxiety is going places alone. That's a big step. So I was kind of impressed. So yeah, great scene. That's my take. Natasha is a good critic. Swear. Moving on. So on her way to the museum, she gets stopped by this creepy child who is like, do you want a death bow or a death pin or a
death ribbon?
There you go.
Isn't that what it is?
For the late Tennyson, who passed away and they were ringing the bells for and whatnot. And she's a little like alarmed by this kid, understandably, but he explains that he has anemia. So she sort of like tries to be cool. But then after she buys it, he says, "Enjoy this beautiful day, my beloved." And she turns around and is like, "Motherfucker," and realizes, and he just kind of smiles at her. And I'm like, she is never going to be able to get away from this. And he looks very much like the guy that got killed. Yeah. What was his? Yep. He was like a little bird raptor thing.
Yeah, it's another Dracula-y name. I can't remember. It was definitely from that book, but I can't remember.
And when she goes into the museum, she goes straight to the fucking scorpions.
First she looks at a wolf.
Right.
She has a very significant stare down with a stuffed wolf. And I was like, "Aw, you miss your boyfriend."
How hilarious would it be if she started talking to it? She's like, "Listen, I don't know if you know Ethan,
or if she,
but if you can get in touch with him for me,
the black red Ethan, or some shit like that,
treating it like a baby monitor or something. Can you hear me, Ethan? Hey, buddy, you in there?" But yeah, she's looking at this, and then here comes Miss Dr. Sweet. I don't know if this is like based on a famous character or anything, but that is a hell of a name. And it sounds like it's straight out of a porno.
It does.
And he is real friendly to the point that I'm like, I don't trust you, buddy. What's your angle? I don't like it. I don't trust anybody.
I feel like you can think about that with basically everybody on this show. Like, yes. What's your angle?
Mm-hmm.
I love the visuals of the museum with the scorpions are in like these jars that look very like steampunky, Victorian. And then we have this, the sweets. He's kind of attractive.
He has been in so many things. And of course, now that I try and think of one, I can't think of a single one. But I have seen him in so much. Yeah, he's been in a lot. And I think that he was kind of a shitbag in something, because I got a immediate vibe as soon as I saw him, which could be part of why I'm just like, "What's your angle, buddy?" But something that I saw him in left me with like a bad feeling. And I'm gonna have to look up his IMDb, but I don't want to because I'm afraid that I'll spoil.
No, you
don't
look him up. I'll look it up.
Okay.
Quick question. Whose side part is better, mine or Mr. Sweet's?
I'd say yours because your hair is glossier. His hair is a little bit flat.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Like, I love his whole aesthetic and shit, but like,
he's just, I don't know. I don't like him. He's trying to be charming here. Oh my God. I watched this fucking movie last night, guys. This movie Next with Nicolas Cage, because I didn't know what to watch. And it reminded me of him a little bit in there where he's supposed to be being charming, but really I'm just like, who the fuck are you? And I think that was my bias here, was just like, guys, randos coming up and chatting, that doesn't happen unless they want to ask you out or whatever. And so I kept waiting for that to happen. And the fact that he got called away from his assistant just makes me think that he like intended to do that, but never got a chance. And, you know,
I gotta say, like him saying that thing about like, oh, this is Miss, I'm sorry, I don't remember your name. That's such a negging move straight out of the game. Am I crazy? Like, that's just such a pickup artist sort of like, oh, I've forgotten your name, hot chick. I don't really care that much.
I know that you're so used to men remembering everything, every detail, but I'm just too busy for that.
Yeah, fuck that.
Yeah, I got the feeling for some reason that he like is the guy who waits around for hot women to come in and then impress them about his like love of animals, when really it's that pussy that he loves. So, but yeah, so that whole thing was like, that was part of why I think that I mistakenly thought the dude that gets taken later was his assistant, because I just expected something that had to do with him to be shady, even if it wasn't actually his fault. Like,
okay, so this actor, just by the way, just 'cause I don't want you to Google him. He is in Dexter, House of Cards, Twilight.
He's in Twilight?
Yeah.
House of Cards.
Breaking Dawn Part 1 and 2. So yeah, he's been in a lot of stuff, but mostly stuff I haven't actually watched, but stuff that other people have watched.
Yeah,
so there
I bet
you
he
go.
was a vampire.
Is he Spanish?
He is
like specifically a Spaniard, because I think he's a Spaniard.
No,
he was born.
He was born. Well, he has a fake British accent on the show.
Okay,
he was born Christian Minnick in New York City.
Oh, okay.
I don't know where.
Christian Minnick. What a fucking name. Why didn't he keep that? That's awesome.
I don't know. He wanted to sound fancy and go by Camargo for no apparent reason.
What the fuck? That's the name he goes by?
Yeah. His grandfather was a guy named Ralph Camargo. I'm suddenly learning a lot about this gentleman.
Well, okay, I can kind of get it that he was taking on an old family name like I did. But
plenty of people do that.
It's just like, you know, it's an odd choice considering that people usually go with names for stage names that are like easier to remember. And that feels like Christian Minnick is like just kind of rolls off the tongue, doesn't it?
Well, is Spanish, I think.
But yeah, he must be Spanish because his grandfather's first name was Rafael.
Yeah, Camargo
he was born
Mexican.
in California, so yeah, Mexican or Spanish or something.
I think it's
Rafael
Mexican.
Jaime Camargo.
Okay, so Vanessa she goes home and she starts to clean up a little bit, and we have a voiceover of her writing a letter to Malcolm, and she's telling him, you know, that things have been pretty bad and I just didn't want to worry you, so I wasn't exactly honest about how it was going. And we see her opening the shades and washing dishes, and I cannot imagine how overwhelming this kind of work would be without the conveniences of today. Yes. Like, no mops. She has to be on her hands and knees, literally scrubbing the floor with a rag. Like,
it's not. I was gonna say, like, her outfit reminds me a lot of my Vavol, and like what she's doing looks a lot like my Vavol would do that. She would even use, like, you know, the washboard in the tub,
yeah,
instead of the washing machine.
My
so like
Yeah, my abuela used to use that too.
Yeah,
I forgot about that. Wow.
Yeah, like, oh, you're getting a flashback. Are you doing like a Caliban right now?
A little bit, yeah. Just because they lived in this really like pretty modern apartment, and then they'd have shit that was like battered and old, and you were like, what year is this? Yeah,
like my grandmother, and like, okay, not gonna lie, I have it on my door too right now. Like doorways, she would just take out the doors and like fucking put a goddamn cloth up, like we're in some fucking like, Romani caravan with like with exotic fabrics and shit like that. And it was just like so ridiculous. And like,
so like a door hanging to like keep the room separated kind of thing.
Yes.
Okay, I got you.
And like to be quite honest, I still clean the floors like her, like that. Like
that's the way that I do it, because I leave them too long and then a mop can't handle it, so I have to get down on my hands and knees.
Yep.
Well,
it's too disgusting.
I stepped it up. I stepped it up. If you wrap so what I use is just hot water and fucking borax and some Dr. Bronner's, and I clean the kitchen floor with that. And instead of on my hands and my knees now, I use the Swiffer thing, and I just dip the rag in that, and I pop it into the holes of like the Swiffer thing, and I use that.
Huh. Okay.
Yeah. Does work a lot better. And it's reusable, and like, because I'm fucking cheap. And you know what? Borax fucking cleans a goddamn kitchen floor.
I need to get some borax anyway, because isn't that supposed to like keep ants away too?
Yes.
We have a little bit of an ant thing happening.
I have a serious ant problem right now. Like, it's real bad.
And also you can use it to make gack, which I really need to do.
Put like a line of it like around the edges, or like if you see their little tiny ant holes in the corners. Yeah.
Okay. Noted.
I use,
and it's 69 cents
Earth.
box, I think.
I gotta work on that because they found a new way in as of like 2 hours ago. So as soon as I get off this, I gotta go murder them and lock up their hole. Fuck these things.
Ant killer.
I'm fine. I'm fine with that.
But the way she has her hair wrapped, like, honestly, this whole, I know it seems kind of, in a way, a little weirdly sexist, but it kind of just gives me this nostalgia, because my grandmother still fucking wraps her hair like that and shit with, like, a bandana. And so, like, having her hair wrapped up and, like, wearing the apron and shit like that, I really liked this outfit choice, because it seemed both, like, dark and mysterious, but also, like, homely. And, like... And,
the surveying that she does too, when she's done, she takes her apron off and she has her bed all made, and the way that she's looking at everything with this just like calmness, I'm like, oh man, there is really nothing like the feeling of a house that was disgusting and now looks great. Like it's just like its own feeling of just being like, oh, everything is okay for at least for right now, for just the next half an hour until somebody fucks it up, at least. It's lovely. And she's, explaining to him about Tennyson and that the city has gone into mourning, and smoking her cigarette. Says a little bit of poetry.
Yeah, it's her joint. Let's not beat around the bush.
And then we go to Renfield, who is... in an area of the city that is filled with red lanterns, like the red light district, except that I didn't put that together at all until the second viewing. And then I was like, oh, that's that. Got it. And yeah, he goes for this woman, and he's just like really gross. He does the thing that Brona was describing of like almost pushing her face to the side.
Yeah.
And just completely dehumanizing her. It's ugly. It's an ugly thing, and it's a creepy thing to watch.
She does this weird thing that like couldn't even work because her legs aren't even spread that much. And like he's like just like grinding up on her. Like he puts his like the skirt up, and he kind of does this kind of like weird like hunch motion, like he's gonna get in there. But like, and he kind of does this weird thrust, and it's like, dude, your dick's not that big.
I can't help but wonder if he was just gonna, because I've seen this being a thing that some guys like, where they just put their dick between a woman's thighs.
Yeah.
So I was like, is that what it is? What is it called? Frottage?
Frottage, yeah. So you put two dicks together and you kind of just jack them off.
For dicks, but that's not like if it's your thighs. Is
it
called the same thing?
It's the same concept.
Yeah.
Okay.
The same concept. It's just like rubbing skin. Like there's no penetration, but kind of.
Okay.
But not.
Okay, got you.
It's the friction there, you know?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, and she's just like
she's just not.
She's like a corpse.
It's so bad. Then she is a corpse.
And then she is shortly after. Yep.
This wind just like fucking happens and like throws her against a wall like a fucking rag doll.
Yeah, this is bringing back because like I was really I had been thinking about the very first scene in the first episode where the woman's like she is on the toilet and gets yanked backwards out the window, and I was like, we still haven't really gotten an explanation for what the fuck that was and what happened.
I again think it was the vampire, and like Ethan mistakenly thought that it was him because as we know that he doesn't remember, but he knows that bad shit happens.
Yeah, so that's what, because like I had thought that it was going to be Ethan too until we saw the actual crime scene where he murdered people, and it didn't look anything like that.
No.
So then I was like, oh, maybe not then. So what is it still? And yeah, it looks like it's these guys apparently, because I'm thinking like with the normal sort of lore of a vampire that if they're going to be eating people that they'll just be drained of blood, but those women were ripped apart, the woman and her daughter. So
do you think they also maybe were trying to frame Ethan too? I don't know. I don't know if vampires know of werewolves' existences in this mythos either.
I feel like if they were trying to, then they would have done something different because it doesn't look like what he does.
That's true.
Yeah, I don't like. So I was glad to see this kind of brought back because it was niggling in my brain that hadn't really been solved or explained sufficiently. So yeah, he comes to, and he is surrounded by creepsters. There's first only two who are looking at him and talking about how he's pink with blood.
And one of them is the Tennyson boy, the ribbon boy.
And the other one is the guy who was on the street with him, signaling for him.
Right.
And then all these others start to come down, crawling in these real creepy ways.
Flashbacks to season 1, basically.
The one that's coming down the post in this like Cirque du Soleil style. That's a freaky one. I like that one a lot. It really is looking like rats.
I know. Do you think they did hire a lot of acrobats for this?
Probably.
These extras.
Have you guys seen the remake of Fright Night with Colin Farrell?
Yeah.
There's a scene at one point where there's a bunch coming out of the ground, and I just happened to notice during the credits that they had this whole section of credits that was just for contortionists. So that was what they went with for that, and I'm imagining that they probably went with something similar here.
I guess the moral of the story is contortionists make really great vampires.
Like they have this sort of inhuman way of moving that looks like it looks wrong, right?
Yeah.
It's just like, what is happening with your fucking joints? What's
it's
going on?
It's like an uncanny valley.
Yep, very much so.
You know what's uncanny valley too is fucking Renfield's face when like this. So we hear an off-screen voice being like, tell me your name and like I want you to watch Vanessa, blah blah blah. Give me your blood, and the like his fucking long prolonged noise of just like just like I really did not need that. Like could we just carry on, like just go ahead and bite his blood, like just
right,
do
just
it.
Do it, just fucking get it over with, man.
Because his fucking little quivering lip is just like,
yeah, it's weird. Like there's something very sensual about his face, like the fullness of his mouth and everything that makes it all the more upsetting when he's crying and helpless and creepy. Like I don't know, it just makes it worse.
Which is kind of funny because, like, he was in that alley with the prostitute similarly. So it's almost like the tables have turned.
Mm-hmm. Very much so.
So I like a lot of metaphors. I do a lot more metaphoring thing. I do a lot of, like, the same lit shit that I used to do back in college to, like, this because it's all lit characters. So, but then we hear Maggie. Do you want to say it?
What? The last line?
Yeah.
He says, "My name is Dracula."
Dun dun dun.
Ta-da!
So the big bad is obviously Dracula.
Here we go. We got Dracula.
Yep. And then he's like, 1, 2.
Start singing about batty bats and whatnot.
Mm-hmm. So yeah, that was a hell of a scene and just so unexpected. And like I said, I really thought we were going down Jack the Ripper road, and then we didn't, and I was so relieved. Mm-hmm. And to have Dracula show up should have been something that I saw coming, and yet I didn't because I got distracted because there were no vampires to deal with at all last season. It was all witches. So I forgot all about that.
Yeah.
So that is that episode. That's the end. So I'm going to wrap this up. Just have 3 new patrons to greet. So this week we have Ashley Biardi, Lacey Novak, and Melissa Granados. Welcome to all 3 of you wonderful people. Thank you so much for becoming patrons. Make sure to register on unspoiledpodcast.com and join the Facebook group, which one of you already has, I think. And if you would like to become a patron, check out patreon.com/unspoiled. And you can become one for whatever you think is fair per month. And you get access to different levels of content based on what you pledge. And right now, as a patrons only show for $5 and up, Maggie and I are covering Twin Peaks. And for $1 and up, I am covering Sherlock with Rashawn. And yeah, other than that, if you would like to support the show, please leave a review on iTunes. That's super, super helpful to us because that is how most people find the show, is via iTunes. And we show up closer to the top of the pile when there are more reviews. So go ahead and do that if you are not able to become a patron. And if you shop on Amazon, please use the Amazon link. All you have to do is bookmark it, and that way you can use it every single time and you don't even have to think about it. And doing that is really easy at unspoiledpodcast.com/Amazon. So if you just do that and bookmark it and use it every time, you're going to be helping me enormously just doing what you normally do, which is ordering stuff from Amazon because they're amazing. And I think that's about it. Dan, do you have anything you'd like to add?
No, I think I'm good. If you do want to listen to some episodes of a podcast I've been doing, we're on a little brief hiatus with my good friend Rachel Rosing. You can go to highschool420.wordpress.com, and it's High School with Dan and Rachel. And I'm having some works of possibly doing another podcast. Trying to figure out the semantics and if I haven't dedicated enough time to do it. But yeah. So be on the lookout.
All right. And Maggie, I don't know if you wanted to plug yours because you guys are kind of on a hiatus right now.
We're on hiatus for the moment, so I'll leave that alone. You already mentioned our stuff. Do you want to? Did I just miss you mentioning what we're going to be doing starting real soon?
No, well, I mentioned that last week, but I'll say it again.
Yeah.
Maggie and I are going to be coming up during the day because that is the only time that I have free anymore. We'll be doing Legion. So I'm excited about that. And it is a show that I have been wanting to watch and have been holding off on for the show because I love all of you guys so much that I will sacrifice like that. And I hope you appreciate it. And I hope you just realize like how lucky you are that I care about you that much. So, that's that. All right. Well, thank you everybody so much for listening. Thank you guys for being here tonight and co-hosting with me. And we will see you again next week with a new episode. Toodaloo, motherfuckers.
was an Unspoiled Network podcast.